Samus is transported to the planet Viewros unexpectedly, so a very kind of classic Metroid setup there. She's probably going to lose everything and have to rebuild. There's new alien creatures that we're seeing here, different enemies than we've really seen in the Metroid Prime series before. And kind of the big hook and mechanic they showed off in this trailer was Samus's new psychic abilities, which let her do things like opening doors. But the big one we saw is controlling the trajectory of her beam. So you fire like this charge shot, and then the camera is following the beam, and you can kind of trace it through different enemies to hit multiple ones at once. So that's kind of seemingly going to be the new big upgrades that Samus is acquiring throughout this adventure. So it looked really good. I thought the visuals were really, really gorgeous. It looks like Prime remastered, but a little bit better. I think it's definitely in that same engine because this is a Switch 1 game. And it looks really, really nice. So Seth, I'll throw to you first. What do you think of the Prime 4 look?
Oh, I'm super excited. I mean, like you said, it looks gorgeous. It looks better than any Prime has ever looked. But I mean, that's kind of not fair.
I would hope so.
One we got was but it also but more specifically, like it's like lush and there's like flowers and stuff, and I don't really associate that. I associate Metroid with more like dank, it's just dank and industrial.
Went right to dank, huh?
Yeah, it's the dankest of all series. A lot of plants in this one, so that's good news for all the botany freaks out there. Shout out to my flower heads. Yeah. But no,
what is happening?
I think it looks beautiful. It looked like it was running at a solid 60 FPS. I think we saw the Switch 1 version of this game. I don't think that we saw. I think there is a different version that is specifically designed for the Switch 2. I think this is the Switch 1 version that we saw. And I think that the whole reason that they went all the way back to the drawing board was because they said, hey, guess what? 5 years ago or however long ago it was, they're like, oh, we're building the next Switch, so you need to like build this around the architecture, and that's why they started over again. That's my theory. I also
they went back to the drawing board because they were working with a different developer. Nintendo hated how it was turning out, and Retro said, we have an idea for Prime 4, and Nintendo like ripped the ball away from one developer and passed it to Retro.
Yeah, because Retro is the only developer that can handle the power of the Switch 2.
Well, I hope that's not true.
Well,
I also hope that's not
5 years ago. They were the only ones who were ready. So I'm fired up, dude. It's Prime. I love Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime, the original one, it's like one of the best top 3 games of all time, and I love the remaster. And I'm really looking forward to playing this. I thought they would maybe tease us with like 2 and 3 remastered. You can go download that from the store today. Although, to be fair, Nintendo has sometimes done that where like an hour after the direct they'll just like announce some stupid thing that you can go buy, so keep it locked. What?
They're not going to drop Metroid Prime 2 and 3 after a direct without announcing.
No, they're going to do it on the Switch 2 direct.
No, they're going to do it on the Nintendo Today app available now.
There it is. Yeah. You'll wake up with a little note. You'll wake up to your alarmo and you'll check your Nintendo calendar, and they will tell you that you can go download Metroid Prime 2 at the. Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. I think they're not going to drop.
You don't think that Metroid Prime 2 and 3 are sitting in a vault somewhere at Nintendo alongside the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD?
They're right next to Super Mario Galaxy 2, which didn't make it to that Nintendo 3D All-Stars collection.
Yeah.
But I think with Prime 2 and 3, so Prime 1 is by far the most beloved Prime game.
Yeah, no.
There in terms of pedigree with Super Metroid. People love Metroid Prime. And 2 and 3, like I was talking to Pear recently who just replayed them, and he's like, oh, wow, these aren't as good.
No,
even close as Prime 1. I just
they're not.
Think they want to drop 2 and 3.
Spicy.
That is totally fair, and I agree. Like as much as it pains me to admit, like they aren't nearly as good as the original, and so it probably doesn't make sense for them to remaster those, especially because like 2 is stupid hard. Maybe it would be easier now with like some better controls, and I don't think that people would be that. I mean, it's Metroid, like it's for a very niche Metroid loving audience and not for mainstream. So yeah, Prime 2 and 3, I don't actually think we're gonna see those remastered. Sorry, folks.
And Prime
go get
remastered,
the trilogy.
Yeah, on Wii for like $100. Prime remastered.
I was gonna say, go get the Steelbook.
Like, Metroid Dread is the best-selling Metroid game of all time. It barely cracked 3 million, and Metroid Prime didn't even make it to 1.5. And it's a 3D first-person $40 game, and they couldn't even sell 2 million of it. Like, yeah, and we've talked about it before. The marketing plan was maybe kind of off for that one. They did a shadow drop. Maybe Metroid needs a little more care and a push to the finish line than a shadow drop to get people to care about it. But yeah, it just didn't do that well. So I don't know if they're going to do 2 and 3. But Brian, I want to hear your take on the Prime 4 footage.
I don't like Samus being psychic. I think she should have organic powers. I don't like this mind nonsense. I think the whole point is you get a cool suit and you get upgrades for the cool suit. If we don't even need the suit, then why even have the suit? You know, maybe just wear sweatpants if you're going to be psychic. You don't need any of that is
a neural
real take or
type of deal.
Is that real?
I don't like. No, I was a little taken aback by that, but ultimately, like once this started moving, I was like, this looks like playable concept art. Like it's really pretty.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's got that sort of like surreal look and feel to it, which I really dig. The alien planets are lush and dank, as Seth said earlier.
Among the dankest.
Yeah, I'm really excited to explore this world. I think that like a lot of people who maybe haven't experienced this franchise maybe equate it with something like, you know, Halo from the outside looking in. And it is like, there is some run and gun stuff in here, but it is mostly about exploration and taking your time and scanning, poking around and finding secrets and, you know, missile upgrades, or I guess in this case, neurotropics that you can use to upgrade your brain, maybe like mushroom coffee. I don't know what she's doing out there. I don't like the psychic stuff. I'll be honest with you. No, but for the most part, this looks great. It is weird to me that we, in a week, we're going to see the same trailer with better graphics and a release date at the end running on a Switch too. Don't you think that's crazy, Logan? I think it's crazy personally.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm going to put a pin in that, but I do want to try and convince you on the psychic powers, because I think it's a cool idea for the sole reason that a problem with Zelda and Metroid 2 is that, you know, if you've played enough in the series and you boot up a new one and you're playing Metroid Prime 2 and you see the grapple beam place hook on the ceiling, you know, oh, I'm going to get the grapple beam. I think the psychic abilities kind of solve that problem, where maybe Samus doesn't lose the morph ball and the power bomb and the grapple beam and the wave beam. Maybe she has all that from the start of Prime 4, and the new things she's getting are psychic abilities. So we're walking around this new planet and we see some weird thing on the wall and we don't know what power we're going to get that is going to let us take that down. I think that is the problem they're trying to solve, because Zelda had it too. Skyward Sword, you land in the desert, you see the hookshot symbol on the wall. Oh, I guess I'm getting a hookshot in about an hour, and then you do, and you can go and hookshot onto that. I think that might be, just try to freshen it up. And Dread, I loved it. It introduced some cool new powers, but for the most part, it was, oh, I know I'm getting the morph ball now, so I can squeeze through this gap. And I think Prime 4 has a chance to just kind of reinstate that sense of discovery that maybe some Metroid games haven't had for a while.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think it works like Jedi mind tricks, where like she can be like, "Hey Ridley, you're going to be a good dragon today," and Ridley's like,
exactly.
And then there's no final boss fight?
I don't think it's going to work like that. No, but
I think,
but sure, why not? I mean, they made a Metroid like Star Wars game, so maybe they'll take some inspiration from that for Metroid Prime 4.
I think it's going to be tied into some sort of technological thing where it's like, oh, you get this whatever chip implanted in your helmet and now it gives you psychic powers, or that's what I think. I don't think it's going to be magical. I don't think Samus is a wizard now.
I do.
But Metroid's always dealt with some supernatural, like the Metroid, like the fusion, infusing
That's
their
true.
blood.
There's ghosts
with Samus, and she's like this organic suit. It's just a different take on that. I don't know.
I do think this is an odd check-in on this game, right?
Yeah.
To just sort of just today to wake up randomly on a Thursday morning and just be like, let's tell them that Samus is psychic, and then, you know, nothing else really.
Nothing else.
We knew it was coming in 2025, so there was no new news there. We saw a glimpse at a new suit, which is really cool. And I will never turn down looking at more Metroid Prime 4, right? But this felt a little like the timing felt a little odd, and I don't feel like there was enough in terms of like a big new update, and it was just in the middle of their direct and not like towards the end. It was, I will say, like the timing around all of this feels a little odd. And also like the amount of new details or lack of new details they brought to the table was sort of interesting. It's just an odd choice. Again, won't turn it down. Very happy to see this game, but yeah, a little weird.
So I want to try and thread a needle here. I think that explains what you have just said, and also hopefully appeases Logan. I think the reason we saw it today is because we are going to see it again next week. But I don't think it's going to be in the way a lot of people are saying. Like, I don't think we're going to get some, and look how much better it runs on the Switch 2. Like, I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think at most it's going to be, hey, it's coming to Switch. Here's the release date. Here's the big trailer for it. Because we want to market this alongside the Switch 2, because we know people are going to play it on both. The Switch 2 is backwards compatible. We know that. And maybe if you play it on the Switch 2, it's like Breath of the Wild on Switch and Wii U, where you get a cool, like, I don't know, Link got a t-shirt. I don't know what the equivalent is for Samus, who notably does not wear t-shirts. But something similar to that. Like, there's like one little bonus if you play it on the Switch 2. I think that the real trailer is going to be next week. That's my sort of wild stab in the dark prediction. That's going to have like the release date and more info, because they want to market these two things together. This is a huge game they have coming out this year. They're not going to talk about the Switch 2 without talking about this huge game. But Logan, I agree with you. They're not making some fancy bells and whistles version specifically for the Switch 2. It's just going to be this. It's going to run a little better because it's a better piece of hardware to begin with. And maybe Samus will wear a cool t-shirt or a hat.
A hat.
I've been digging my heels in on this so much that if I'm wrong, I'll have egg on my face, but I'll take it. I'm not afraid to be wrong, but I'm just so puzzled by everybody being so convinced with no evidence that they're making a fancy Switch 2 dedicated version of Metroid Prime 4, a game series that has never cracked 3 million in sales. I'm sorry. I love Metroid. Why did they end with Tomodachi Life instead of Metroid Prime 4? Because Tomodachi Life will probably sell 4 times as many copies as they think Metroid Prime 4 will at this point. I love Metroid. I'm so happy that they're doing this, but to me, this is, we announced this in 2017. We announced it way too early. We made this promise to deliver Metroid Prime 4. Finally, 8 years later, we're delivering it. It had a rocky road to get here. This is not the Breath of the Wild transcendent new open world formula that's going to rock the industry. We just saw today. This looks like Metroid Prime 4, which is a good thing, but it looks like you're a new planet, new powers, you're exploring, it's isolating. It's Metroid Prime. It looks amazing, but it's not something that sells 10 million, as unfortunate as that is. I just don't know why people are so convinced that Nintendo is just betting the farm on Metroid Prime 4, a series that is very, very, very niche. And I don't even know if it shows up next week. Like, I could see what you're talking about, Reb. Like, here's a sizzle reel of Switch 1 stuff. You can play it on Switch 2 also, but I just don't know if they want to burn real estate during the Switch 2 Direct, which is going to be tight. It's going to be minute-to-minute, fast-paced, showing a game they showed 6 days ago. I think they had this event so they don't have to show it next week.
Yeah.
So I could be completely wrong, but I'm just so confused by people so convinced about this.
Okay, so
Logan, what kind of hat do you think Samus is going to have to reflect the Switch 2?
You'll be able to see when in Metroid Prime, when you fire a charge beam like at the wall and you see Samus's face, you'll just see the Switch 2 logo instead.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Switch 2. That's
okay, so not to justify the thoughts of everybody going into this Switch 1, Switch 2, Metroid Prime 4 debate thing, but I think that the reason people are making that association is because Metroid Prime 1 on the GameCube was, at the time, one of the most graphically impressive games ever made, right? Sure. It was one of those things, and certainly one of the most graphically impressive Nintendo first-party games ever made. Right, we had really never seen anything like that coming out of Nintendo. They'd been making beautiful games for years at that point, of course, obviously. But like the particle effects happening on Samus's visor, all the art in that world, and how just stunning and gorgeous it was. It was one of those things where at the time people were like, "This is really pushing GameCube hardware. They're doing amazing stuff with it." For this to be like just a tail end of the end of like a extremely dated hardware at this point. This is like the Nintendo Switch is like a 9-year-old Android tablet at this point. I love it. It's amazing. It's delivered some of the best video game experiences ever made. I think people are looking for that feeling again of being like, I'm going to be playing one of the most graphically impressive first-party Nintendo games ever, and it's a Metroid game again. And the Switch one will sort of deliver that, and I'm sure it's gonna like a lot of other big first-party stuff on Switch. Works really well, looks really good. Amazing that they're even pulling it off on a technical level. Chugs here and there could definitely benefit from a little more horsepower. Yeah, and so I think with this one, I don't necessarily see it as the sort of bridging the gap thing that we saw with Breath of the Wild or Twilight Princess or something like that. I'm with you on that, Logan. I don't think this is one of those games that is sort of the connective tissue between two console generations, where one of them is going to be very clearly the place to play it, and it's the other one's mirrored mode and it comes out 3 weeks later or whatever. I don't think that's going to happen, right? But I do think that when we see these running side by side, it'll be a no-brainer that you'll want to play Metroid Prime 4 on Switch 2.
Yeah, and I'm glad you go for it, Seth.
I would say I'm going to meet you in the middle, Logan. I've changed my mind. I don't think this is a Switch 2 game, actually. But what I do think is that there will be some showcase of like what Switch 2 can make your original Switch games look like. And I think this will be the example of that. Like, hey, it's coming out, whatever, release date, we get that. And they'll say, and if you play it on Switch 2, it runs at a solid 60 FPS and it does this and it has bloom effects and ray tracing.
Yes, like what Reb was saying, right? It'll be a showcase for how backwards compatibility is worth your time on Switch 2.
Yeah.
Or it'll just be a showcase for Switch 2, like in the same way the Pilot Wings was for the Super Nintendo. So there.
Yeah, and Brian, I'm glad you brought up Breath of the Wild, because whenever I have this conversation with people, which feels way too often lately, I feel like this is all I'm talking about, people say, oh, well, they did it with Breath of the Wild. Yeah, you were saving at one of the greatest games of all time from a console that sold 13 million units. Breath of the Wild has now outsold the Wii U because they saved it. Twilight Princess, you were moving that to a console you knew was going to sell more than the GameCube did. It was the same thing. You don't need to save Metroid Prime 4. It's the biggest install base in Nintendo history. Like, it's fine. It's going to sell. It'll probably be the best-selling Metroid game ever, because I think it'll outsell Dread, but you don't need to save it like you needed to save Breath of the Wild. And at the same time, I feel like if this was a cross-gen title in the way Breath of the Wild was, there was a box on the store shelf with Metroid Prime 4 for Switch 2, and that cartridge does not fit in your Switch 1, I feel like we'd know by now. Nintendo feels bad when they do that. When they punted Breath of the Wild to be a cross-gen thing between Wii U and NX at the time, they tweeted about it very nonchalantly saying, hey, just so you know, we're delaying this game and it's going to be on both, but don't worry, it's still coming to Wii U. We're not abandoning that promise. Here, they just had a Switch 1 focused direct with a big showcase Metroid trailer dropped in the middle of it and no mention of Switch 2. Like, why is it this big secret if it's suddenly going to be a cross-gen thing?
Well, so they have the opposite problem now, though, than they did from the Wii U to Switch. Like, the Wii U to Switch was like, all right, let's get everything off of that sinking ship and onto the fancy new thing as fast as we can, right? Because this one under-delivered and undersold and underperformed and blah, 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 blah. And the new ones, like, all the eggs are going in this basket, right? Yes. They have the opposite problem now, which is like, how do we get people off of this system that is immensely successful, that they love so much, that we haven't really given them a reason just yet to trade in and upgrade and all that. Like, I think that like little things are gonna help move that needle. And you're right. Like, historically, it's not Metroid. Metroid is not, like, we love it. That is it's one of those things that Nintendo fans adore and they love until it's time to actually buy one, and then just a couple of us show up, right? But we like Samus is I had to explain to my kid watching the direct this morning. She's like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, Samus from Metroid. I have like a statue in my office. It's in the Smash Brothers games. You stole her amiibo from me. You have, like, we have, there's action figure. There's all this stuff. It's like, oh, okay. And then the thing afterwards was like Disney princesses start a cafe, and she was like, I want that. I'm like, all right. That's probably going to outsell Metroid Prime 4, which is unsurprisingly. But yeah, so I do think they need to start, and we're going to find out more next week, right? They need to start convincing consumers it's time to say goodbye to Switch 1. It's time to go to Switch 2. And we're going to give you 100 reasons why. And one of them is Metroid Prime 4.
I do think Metroid Prime 4, Logan, I agree with everything that you say about the way Metroid historically sells. And I think the internet is a little overhyped on it because all the people that love Metroid are also the people that are online posting all day. But I do think Metroid Prime 4 is weirdly going to benefit from all of these delays. It's this very elusive game that for years was just sort of almost the butt of a joke, really. It was like, oh, they announced this 5-6 years ago and we still see nothing. Where is this game? Where is this game? Like it almost, for a while, people were like, is this like shovelware? Is it just going to vanish? And then it turned out to be real. And so I think the expectation and speculation around this game and the fact that it's gone on for so long so many more people have heard of it. So many more people are like curious about why it took so long and what the deal is. And it's been, it's been quite a while since we had the last Metroid Prime. And so I think all of that is going to bolster this, on top of the fact that it is getting all of this direct attention and speculation, and the fact that it will be playable across 2 consoles. So I agree with you that it's going to be probably the best selling Metroid of all time. And I hope it goes even a little bit further than that to maybe justify the Metroid series being a little more important to Nintendo going forward.
Yeah, me too. I don't want to sound like I'm like crapping on Metroid because I'm talking about its sales. I love it. I just named my cat Samus like earlier this year. Like I adore Metroid so much, but it's just the reality of it is this. Yeah. As much as we all want it to be a tentpole series, it's not. Reb went to the Nintendo store in Japan. There was like nothing for Metroid in Nintendo's own store. Like I want it to blow up. So please, if you're listening to this, buy Metroid Prime 4. If you're listening to this, you're almost surely going to. Like I doubt there's many people that listen to this show that won't. But yeah, it's just, sorry we harped on that for so long about this cross-gen thing. I just think that the way Nintendo's marketing this, they showed it to us in a June Direct last year, before they even officially unveiled Switch 2. They showed it in this Switch 1 specific Direct. They keep saying it's coming to Nintendo Switch. I feel like they are trying to scream at you not to get your hopes up for a fancy next-gen version. Maybe I'm wrong.
Why would they?
Maybe we'll come back to you next week and I will just look like an idiot for just screaming about this for the last year. But hey, I'll be fine with that.
Let's have this
Why would they
debate
tell
in a
Nintendo
week
fans?
in 4K, 60 FPS, running on
Yeah. Why would they tell Nintendo fans not to get their hopes up? Like, that's exercise in futility.
Yeah, they always say, please be excited, Logan. They don't say, please don't be excited.
They do. Yeah. Yes.